Shalaki. Getting back to it. Call the Yahawah YAHAWAH Barakatah Yahawah Barakatah Yahawah. Shalaki, forgive me a little call come in distraction. I thought I set my camera to block in my phone to block those things, but sometimes it happens. So Shalaki on that. Okay, I want to finish. Go ahead and continue to where I was in Deuteronomy. I finished off at 68, and I was talking about and Yahawah will I'll just read it again. Shalaki. Deuteronomy 28:68. And the Lord Yahawah shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships by the way where I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold to your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man or anyone shall buy you or redeem you. Again, that to me brings the message of we're being bought and sold in this toxic economy on all fashions. We are looked at as and used as a form of chattel. We were in chattel slavery, and now they roll over the captivity and the slavery process into a economical format where they market the residual understanding of who we are as a people by continuing to keep us blind and continuing to perpetuate resources that create sin in our lives, and they market these particular aspects directly to us as a people who are not awake, a good majority of us, and they use that towards their benefit to gain more wealth and riches and just areas of economical gluttony, and that's what they're doing. And we are not only are we the product, but we are the resource. We are the subjugation portion of the entire event that is happening, and we are not awake and don't seem to be getting awake to the process that is being put upon us. So therefore, what ends up happening is we are in a position where we don't even clearly understand how we're being used, and we think that what little bit of benefit we get from their twisted economical system is of value, and we completely own absolutely nothing that they've already stolen and taken and converted into their own ownership. It all belonged to us anyway, but they found a way to subjugate our mindset in a psychological capacity that bleeds over into all areas of economics. And at the same time, what we don't understand is what we're being kept from obtaining and given in very minuscule small portions are things that we already own. And so they found a way to twist that process into making us believe that we have to earn something that they have that already belonged to us. And that's the truth in its essence in general. And so the buying and selling and being shipped here into Egypt as a product and commodity that we have become from the beginning, it has a lot to do with who we are and where we are and why we're here, because of what we've not done. We were given the law, statutes, and commandments. We were given the ability to understand who the Most High is, and were charged with the job of showing the world who our Father YAHAWAH is. But we did not do that. And in the course and scope of us not performing what our job requirement was, we got fired. And in the process of our firing, we had to take and have been giving a series of judgments that have been laid upon us in every particular way and fashion and form. And now those particular judgments are starting to be relinquished by the Most High and being put upon other nations who perform this process to us. So now they are recognizing and starting to, some of them, what their recompense is, that all of what was done by their forebears, their ancestors, their progenitors. They have they're starting to awaken also. So the awakening is happening on both sides. The awakening of the evil that was done through the misguided understanding of our holy scriptures and culture that was confiscated. They're waking up to see what now their particular payback or judgment is, as we are also waking up on our side to see exactly what's happening to us in terms of waking up to the truth, and also waking up to the truth in judgment on us as well. So the awakening is a full-blown effect that's happening across the board on all of the creation that the Most High has brought forth here on this planet. No one is immune to that awakening. The awakening is happening manifold on both sides. It's happening on both sides, to both and all nations, and especially in reference to the Hebrew Israelites and the seed of Jacob through Abraham, Isaac, and unto Jacob. And that's why I was saying in my introduction to the topic, Yahweh is starting to shake the gates of Jacob's trouble open. So as those gates open, both sides are seeing the judgment being divvied out, being spread upon the people that the Most High has created in totality. And clearly they're not comfortable with it, because those who perform the atrocities don't want to hear about it. But unfortunately, we all have to live through what has to happen to those that perform these atrocities and the ones who the atrocities were performed upon. So therefore, as you can see, there's no respecter of any particular individuals, any lineage or culture. The Most High's judgment is fair and balanced across the board and across everything with everyone. It doesn't matter age. It doesn't matter what race, what sex, what creed, what culture. His judgment is fair and balanced across it all. And that's what we have to understand. Now we want to go to Leviticus and talk in some more detail and go to some more precepts, because we need to continue to back up what we're saying. And this part 2 is basically what we're working with now, because part 1 was interrupted by a very important call that came through. So now we're going to go to Leviticus, and I'm going to go to chapter 18. And I want to read a couple recent precepts from there, 18 and 25. And in 25, Yahweh is saying, and okay, all right. And the land is defiled, therefore I do visit the iniquity thereof upon it, and the land itself vomiteth out her inhabitants. And see, that's what's happening. Those who have been charged with the ability to control the earth, Job chapter 9, verse 24, given into the hand of the wicked, they've done wickedly with it, and beyond a shadow of a doubt, and they have no intention of changing the way that they're doing it. If you're going to put chemtrails in the sky, if you're going to pollute all the water that's on the planet, whether it be fresh or salt water, with your activities, you defile the land, and the land is defiled. Therefore, Father, do visit the iniquity thereof upon it, and the land itself vomiteth out the inhabitants. I mean, you got whales that are vomiting up giant cat balls, I call them, of plastics that they're sucking in from the stuff that's being put in the oceans. Who has the ability to do that? Who has the ability, the control to dump things in the ocean on a mass scale? Certainly not Jacob. We don't have that ability. We don't have big barges and resources from an industrial platform to put that type of stuff in the water. So clearly, that's not where we are. But those who do it, we know who they are, and they're the ones that he's visiting the iniquity upon them based on what they're doing, and it's coming back into those areas where they wish to seek their pleasure and serenity, and some of these islands of pleasure, and now they're becoming a very high toxicity of the water content, and they can't get in the water, and then when they do, they get out with all kinds of diseases and all types of infections and skin and flesh devouring bacteria situations because of what they're doing in terms of defiling the land. All right, Leviticus chapter 26. We're going to go there. And on Leviticus chapter 26, it says, another precept, right? 26, and I'm going to read 36, but I also want to read 33. So let me get 33, and I'll read from 33 down through 36. Leviticus chapter 26, 33 through 36. And I will scatter you among the heathen, and will draw out a sword after you, and your land shall be desolate, and your cities waste. See, and this is what the Father's starting to do. If you look around at some of the things that's happening, weather conditions, and as well as time that has taken toll on corrosion of bridges and roads in areas where people are living, you can see that it's becoming quite desolate, and he's taking a toll on them. And he's bringing the sword out on them. 34. And then shall the land enjoy her Sabbaths as long as it lieth desolate, and ye be in your enemies' land. Even then shall the land rest and enjoy her Sabbath. See, and we don't do that. The farmers, they continue to pump GMOs into the ground and chemicals to produce crops every single year. They never give the land rest. Like the Most High said, every 7 years you got to give the land rest to rejuvenate, and they don't do it. Okay? And it says, enjoy her Sabbath. As long as it lieth desolate, it shall rest, because it did not rest in your Sabbath when ye dwelt upon it. 36. And upon them that are left alive of you, I will send a faintness into the hearts in the lands of their enemies, and the sound of a shaken leaf shall chase them, and they shall flee as fleeing from a sword, and they shall fall when none pursueth, and they shall fall one upon another, and as it were before a sword when none pursueth, and ye shall have no power to stand before your enemies, and ye shall perish among the heathen, and the land of your enemies shall eat you up, and they that are left of you shall pine away in their iniquity in your enemies' lands, and also in the iniquities of their fathers shall they pine away with them. And so I needed to bring that out, because in Jacob's trouble, this is the type of feeling and overwhelming effect that will come across our Jacob and Israel and Israelites, because they and I'm talking about the ones who won't wake up. They may hear that they are Hebrew Israelites, but they still cling to the traditions of their captives, of people who have them captive. And so because of that, these are the types of judgments that have to come down upon them. And this is why they fear what they do. If you notice, I notice when I drive a lot of times, and I drive past young Hebrews of brown color, or maybe not even a brown complexion, just young Hebrews in general, they turn around and they look at the vehicle that's coming past them or coming in upon them. I mean, everyone, the males, the females, the young, the older, they have a tendency of walking in fear. if a vehicle is coming down the road, they'll spin their neck around and they'll look at the vehicle. But you don't see that same type of practice with the other nations. When they're walking, if a car is driving, they don't even pay no attention to it coming up upon them or driving past them. They keep going, looking where they're going. They don't have an unsettling fear that is down within them that something or someone in that vehicle might just have an issue in driving upon them. We this is what we do, and it's just horrible that they have to feel that way and be that way. But that's exactly the way they walk upon themselves in fear. And then it says in Deuteronomy that they will go out one way and flee 7 ways, and they'll say, roughly paraphrasing, oh, wish it were day, and oh, when day come, oh, wish it were night. And they fear both day and night for the most part. And that's horrible, because that means you're clearly not in touch with the Most High. Okay, I'm going to pop over here to Proverbs chapter 29, and then I'm going to get into Jeremiah and go into some specific books that talk directly to Jacob's trouble, so we can bring that into the scripture, because we need to, and we need to bring that into the lesson today. So let me just go ahead and get the Proverbs here and give you what I got to get out of there. I'm just going to go there for a minute and grab something out, because I saw something out that I was given something by the Most High that I believe is relevant to this teaching. Proverbs chapter 29:18, if you can, and you got your sword, your Bible, go there with me. And we're going to go to 18. But I want to make sure I like what I see. Okay, yeah. I'm going to read 18, but I'm going to read 16 down to 18, okay? Okay, Proverbs 29, starting at 16 to 18. When the wicked are multiplied, transgression increaseth, but the righteous shall see their fall, which is so true. And this is what we're seeing happen now. They are increasing, but now they're falling. 17, correct thy son, and he shall give thee rest. Yea, he shall give delight unto thy soul. 18, where there is no vision, the people perish, but that keepeth the law, happy is he. So I'm going to read that 18 again. It says here, all right, because that's a very important statement to where we're getting ready to go next in terms of the precepts. Where there is no vision, the people perish, but he that keepeth the law, happy is he. Okay? So it's important that you keep his law, and if you keep the moral law and you keep his universal law, then you won't have a problem keeping his law of life, living, and everlasting salvation. But they seem to not want to do it. What is the problem? This is the part that really messes me up when I think about this. Why do the so-called religious practitioners who claim that they've accepted Jesus, who they ignorantly call Jesus, Yahawashi, why is it that they want to run from the law? Do you believe truly that you can have Yahawashi provide the salvation, but now you don't want to do anything that keeps you in line with obedience to what is the right moral conduct? So all of the law centers around the majority of levels of moral conduct that need to be exercised in order to get along with any created individual that the Father put on the planet. So because you say, well, I chose to follow Jesus, and now that I'm with, this particular image or understanding that you have of Yahawashi that you call Jesus, you are immune from having to be responsible to do anything when it comes to the moral levels of the law that balances the way we should operate. You don't need to participate with that. You run from the law as though it's like a plague. And that's very unfortunate, because the law is the Father's love. And that's what they don't understand. YAHAWAH, who they ignorantly call Jesus, he is not authorized to change the Father's stated foundational word of truth and law. He did not do that. See, this is where people get this twisted. You know, the Most High sent YAHAWAH to fulfill his particular portion of the law, of the truth. Now, fulfilling it does not change it or eliminate it. What it does is it validates the process forward of the truth in it. It validates the process forward of the truth in the law that was fulfilled. Fulfilling something doesn't change it. It just means you did what it was supposed to do. You took care of making sure that what it was made for, that happened, that was performed. That is the process of fulfilling. Fulfilling doesn't mean you changed it and then threw it away and it no longer exists. You allowed the process to happen so that it took care of what needed to be covered moving forward. It does not change it. No entity that the Most High created has the ability to change what he set in motion. It still has to be fulfilled. And if you were in the new covenant, then there would be no more prophecies. Everything would be fulfilled. Everyone would have the law in their heart. Everyone would know the Most High completely the way that he was supposed to be known, that we were charged to do in the beginning, which we didn't get right and we didn't do, and now we have a chance to get it right. Everyone would know the Most High, and there would be no more wars and no more fighting and no more crazy stuff going on, and every neighbor would know you, the Father, and the Father would be in them. But that's not happening. So clearly you can't run around saying you're in the new covenant. Okay? So stop saying that and stop confusing people with that, because it's very unfair to you. It's very unfair to the people who don't understand completely, and it's completely disrespectful and blasphemous to the Father, because nothing gets to change the Father's word. Every word that proceedeth out of the Father's mouth is his law, is his love, and nothing can change it. YAHAWAH did not change what the Father set in motion. He fulfilled the portions of what he was supposed to fulfill, and that portion went forward and is still in effect because it was done by him as an example. He didn't come and say, well, I came to change the law. He didn't say that. He said, I came to fulfill it. Fulfilling it doesn't mean it's changed. It just means that it was completed in the way that it can move forward, so that it takes care of the things that had to be addressed so that we could go to where the Father needs us next. That's where it needs to be. And plus, on top of that, the law in itself and the covenant was for the same people that it was given to in the beginning. It didn't change ownership just because processes were done by YAHAWAH, who they ignorantly call Jesus. It didn't change ownership. It still goes to the same people that the Most High chose to give it to in the beginning, which is us, the Hebrew Israelites. Even if you try to hide it, even if you try to lie about it, even if you try to change it, it still doesn't make it in effect, because you've tried to perform those processes and those abominations. And the Most High is showing you that that's the case. So step back and stop doing that, because you're not accomplishing it. And every time you do something of this nature, you just piss the Most High off, and then he continues to throw blows at the earth and the nations who do these things. You need to stop. And maybe he might have mercy on you, but that's his choice. Okay, we did Proverbs 29:18. Now we're going to go to Jeremiah chapter 30. This is where we're going to get into the Jacob's trouble scriptural renditions here, and we're going to definitely read that one. We're going to go to Jeremiah chapter 30. Okay, I'm going to start at Jeremiah 25 and then do 26 to 38 first, and then I'm going to get to 30. So bear with me as I go to 25 first, and I hope you got your scriptures out so you can stay with me on this and we can read it together. Okay, 25. And we're going to go to Jeremiah, chapter 25 and 26 to 38. 26 to 38. Shalaki. All right. And all the kings of the north, far and near, one with another, and all the kingdoms of the world, which are upon the face of the earth, and the king of Shishak shall drink after them. This, to me, gives a rendition of the fact that the kings of the world have drunk of the cup of the abominations of Babylon. So it kind of brings home that yes, this country is truly the leadership in her right as the headstone for Babylonian captivity. But all the nations of the world are drinking of the abominations of the Babylonian process that the Most High said, because as you can see the influence of this Western world upon all nations in terms of the clothing they wear, the phallic ties, the tight suits, the whole conformity of that particular presentation of themselves when they are separate nations, but they are falling under the ideology of this particular Babylonian process here. Okay, that's why the kingdoms of the world, which are upon the face of the earth, and the king of Shisham shall drink thereafter them. In other words, they're drinking of the same cup. Therefore thou shalt say unto them, thus saith the Lord of hosts, YAHAWAH Power, of Israel, the Lord of hosts, the power of Israel, the God of Israel, drink ye and be drunken, and spew and fall and rise no more, because of the sword which I will send among you. See, Father is already doing it. He's sending it, he's doing it, and he's telling you, you will fall because you are drinking of that abominable cup of those abominations. And it's 28. And it shall be, if they refuse to take the cup at thine hand to drink, then shalt they say unto them, thus saith the Lord YAHAWAH Power of hosts, ye shall certainly drink. For lo, I begin to bring evil on the city which is called by my name. And should ye be utterly unpunished? Question. Ye shall not be unpunished, for I will call for a sword upon all the inhabitants of the earth, saith the Lord YAHAWAH Power of hosts. Therefore prophesy against them all these words, and say unto them, the Lord shall roar from the Lord YAHAWAH Power shall roar from on high. He will roar like a lion from on high, and utter his voice from his holy habitation. He shall mightily roar upon his habitation. He shall give a shout as they that tread the grapes against all the inhabitants of the earth. A noise shall come even to the ends of the earth, will plead with all flesh. You hear it? This is everybody. That's what I'm saying. He's throwing blows at the whole planet, everybody, all flesh, and he will give them that are wicked to the sword, saith the Lord YAHAWAH Power. Thus saith the Lord YAHAWAH Power of hosts, behold, evil shall go forth from the nation to nation, and a great whirlwind shall be raised up from the coast of the earth, and the slain of the Lord shall be at that day from one end of the earth even unto another end of the earth. They shall not be lamented, neither gathered nor buried. They shall be dung upon the ground. You hear that? See, the Father ain't playing. Nobody reads this because they don't want to hear this. They don't want this responsibility. They don't want this conviction. It's funny. Nobody wants to be convicted, but everybody wants to go to heaven. And nobody wants to die. But that doesn't work like that. 34, howl ye shepherds, and cry and wallow yourselves in the ashes, ye principal of the flock. For the days of your slaughter and of your dispersion are accomplished, Shalaki. And ye shall fall like a pleasant vessel. And the shepherd shall have no way to flee, nor the principal of the flock to escape. 36, a voice of the cry of the shepherds, and a howling of the principal of the flock, ye shall be heard. For the Lord YAHAWAH Power hath spoiled their pasture. And you can see that. Yes, he has spoiled the pasture. Look at the earth. Look at the farmers. Look at the flocks. Diseased. No, the animals. Every time you turn around, there's a recall on some food or some meat or some product. Or whether it be a vegetable, animal, or mineral. It's recalled because it's contaminated. And that's why it's fallen upon the flock and the pasture. It's spoiled, as the Father says here, 37. And the peaceable habitations are cut down because of the fierce anger of the Lord YAHAWAH Power. He hath forsaken his covert as the lion, for their land is desolate because of the fierceness of the oppressor and because of his fierce anger. So he's generally pissed off at the oppressors who have oppressed the entire planet, and specifically those who have oppressed Jacob and the Hebrew Israelites, which you can clearly see is happening now. Subjugation is happening. They're putting all kinds of accusations against us, trying to demonize us. But what's ended up happening? Now he's coming against that. He said he would set up a standard, and that's what he's doing. And that's the fierceness of the oppressor, and because of his fierce anger, the Most High is coming against him. And that, of course, was Jeremiah chapter 25. See, this is Jacob's. This is kin to and precepts to Jacob's trouble in terms of that gate being shaken open a little bit, and what's coming out and what's to befall everyone on the planet. Not only just Jacob and his seed of Israel, but the entire earth. Okay. Now we're going to go to read a little bit more about Jacob's trouble in terms of, I'm going to go to 30, where it speaks to that in general, and I'm going to go directly and read from that part 10, verse 10. Okay, but I'll pop up to 8 a little bit, because this actually, I'm just gonna go at the top of that, because this is so good. Chapter 30 of Jacob's trouble really speaks to the whole thing. You get better clarity if I just go from 1 on down, because I'm just going to basically read to 11 anyway. So let me just go ahead and start at the top. Okay, it says, the word that came to Jeremiah from YAHAWAH Power, the Lord, saying, thus speaketh the Lord Power, YAHAWAH Power, God of Israel. Of who? Of the world? No. Of specific people, of everybody? No. Of Israel. Okay? Thus speaketh YAHAWAH Power, God, Power of Israel, saying, write thee all the words that I have spoken unto thee in a book. And again, Ezra was charged with writing things now. Jeremiah is charged with writing things. The prophets and the apostles, they all were charged with writing things by the Most High. So where are those 204 books in Ezra chapter 2, Second Ezra 14, chapter 14, 45 and on down? There are a lot of books that still of information that have to come out. So Father's saying, thus speaketh the Lord YAHAWAH Power of Israel, saying, write thee all the words that I have spoken unto thee in a book. For lo, the days come, saith the Lord YAHAWAH Power, that I will bring again the captivity of my people Israel and Judah, saith the Lord YAHAWAH Power, and I will cause them to return to the land that I gave to their fathers, and they shall possess it. Okay, now he's bringing us. Not go on your own, not catch an airplane, not catch a train, not catch a boat. He's bringing us, okay? And if he isn't bringing you, then you don't belong there, wherever the land is that he decides he wants us to be, okay? Okay, all right. And I will cause them to return to the land that I gave to their fathers, and they shall possess it. And these are the words that the Lord YAHAWAH Power spoke concerning Israel and concerning Judah. See, all of the tribes, not just one, not just two. 12 tribes of Israel, and of course Judah, including Benjamin and Levi. Okay? 5, for thus saith the Lord YAHAWAH Power, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. Ask ye now, and see whether a man doeth travail with child. Question, wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins, as a woman is travaileth, and all the faces are turned into paleness. That means, man, when you're going through that kind of pain, the blood just seems to just go away from the areas upon where you need it, and it's going to the areas where you suffering, right? Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even a time of Jacob's trouble. See? But he shall be saved out of it. So we've been going through a lot of tribulation for thousands of years. Clearly we know that. Father, YAHAWAH Power, YAHAWAH. 8. For it shall come to pass in that day, saith YAHAWAH Power, the Lord of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off thy neck, and will burst thy bonds, and strangers shall no more serve themselves of them. But they shall serve the Lord YAHAWAH Power, thy power, and David their king, whom I will raise up into them. 10. Therefore fear thou, O my servant Jacob, saith the Lord, neither be dismayed, O Israel, for lo, I will save thee from afar, and thy seed from the land of their captivity. And Jacob shall return and shall be in rest, and be quiet, and none shall make him afraid. For I am with thee, saith YAHAWAH Power, the Lord, to save thee, though I make a full end of all nations. Stop. Hear it. He says he's going to make a full end of all nations. So he don't love everybody, and he's not saving everybody. That stops that nonsense right there. Don't be saying that. Nations, whether I have scattered thee. So wherever we are, all over, everywhere, he's going to make a full end of those nations. Not us, but those nations. Yet will I not make a full end of thee, but I will correct thee in measure, and I will not leave thee altogether unpunished. See, as you can see, right now, judgment, punishment, and correction is happening to our people still, who won't come out of these paganistic, celebrational abominations that they are performing, and claiming that it has to do with love, respect for each other and children. They're lying. It does not. That's a false balance, and the equivalency is definitely from a reprobate mind. So it doesn't measure up. And he's telling you to come out, and if you don't, Jacob's trouble and the gates are being shaken open. Revelation is being given, but no one seems to reveal it. It's amazing. Chapter 31 is next. And we're going to verse 7. For thus saith the Lord YAHAWAH Power, sing with gladness for Jacob, and shout among the chief of the nations. Publish ye, praise ye, and say, O Lord, O YAHAWAH, save thy people, the remnant of Israel. And he will, and he is going to save the remnant. And that's basically all he's going to save in this period of time, is the remnant. All of Israel will be saved, but a lot of them have to pass through the fire to get to the other side in order to see salvation. But as far as their job classification goes, I really don't see them I don't see many in high level management positions of authority based on their activities here. Behold, number 8, I will bring them from the north country and gather them from the coast of the earth, and with them the blind and the lame, the woman with child, her that travaileth with child together, a great company shall return thither. They shall come with weeping, and with supplication will I lead them. He said, see, he's going to lead them. He said nothing about other nations or any particular man, carnal man leading him. The Father says, he says he will lead him. I will lead them. I will cause them to walk by my rivers of waters in a straight way, wherein they shall not stumble. For I am a father to Israel, and Ephraim is my firstborn. Why don't they read this stuff? They just don't. 10. Hear the word of YAHAWAH Power, the Lord, O ye nations, and declare it in the isles afar off, and say, he that scattered Israel will gather him and keep him as a shepherd doeth his flock. For the Lord YAHAWAH Power hath redeemed Jacob and ransomed him from the hand of him that was stronger than he. So the gates will be open. Jacob's trouble will pour out, but the Father will collect those that are his and take them where they will be safe. Okay, I'm going to Ezekiel now to bring some more precepts to Jacob's trouble. All right, we're going to Ezekiel. Go with me to chapter 2, and we're going to go 3, then we're going to do 5, and then we're going to get close to closing this out because I know Jake ain't hanging too long with reading no truth because he just don't seem like he wants to be built for it. But even though he should be, but sometimes that's just the way it is. So, all right, here we are at Ezekiel chapter 2, and I'm reading verse 3. And he said unto me, Son of man, I send thee to the children of Israel, to a rebellious nation that hath rebelled against me. They and their fathers have transgressed against me, even unto this very day. Okay? So this is what we've been doing, and we can still see it even as they waltz through this abominable celebrated period of time right now that they're doing. For they are impudent children and stiff-hearted. I do send thee unto them, and thou shalt say unto them, Thus saith the Lord YAHAWAH Power. And they, whether they will hear or whether they will forbear, for they are a rebellious house, yet shall know that there hath been a prophet among them. So we're talking and we're trying to teach them and tell them, but they're stiff-hearted people, stiff-necked, stiff-hearted, and rebellious. So the Father calls them and he don't lie. He's speaking the truth. And they just don't care. Okay, we're going to 5, and we're going to read chapter 5 and 9, verse 1. And thou, son of man, take thee a sharp knife. Okay? Take thee a sharp knife. Take thee a barber's razor, and cause it to pass upon thine head and upon thy beard. Then take thee balances to weigh and divide the hair. Okay? 2, thou shalt burn with fire a third part in the midst of the city, when the days of the siege are fulfilled. And thou shalt take a third part and smite about it with a knife, and a third part thou shalt scatter in the wind, and I will draw out a sword after them. So you can see that's the metaphor about the 2/3 being destroyed and those individuals that are scattered, and only he can bring them back. And thou shalt also take therefore a few in number, okay, and bind them in thy skirt. Okay, that's 3. 4, and then take of them again and cast them into the midst of the fire and burn them with fire. For therefore shall a fire come forth into all the house of Israel. So, you can see here Jacob's trouble is also spoken of in terms of the recompense that the Father has against his own people who continue to stay in blindness and won't come out. Okay. And now 12. A third part of thee shall die with the pestilence, and with famine shall be consumed in the midst of thee, and the third part shall fall by the sword round about, and I will scatter a third part into the wind, and I will draw out a sword on them. Thus saith shall my anger be accomplished. This is the Father, okay? And I will cause my fury to rest upon them, and I will be comforted, and they shall know that I am the Lord YAHAWAH Power, have spoken it in my zeal, and I have accomplished it, my fury in them. So you can see, he ain't playing. And like I said, this is where he's going with this. Okay, now we're going to go to Amos, and then we're going to try to get the closeout in Malachi on the way out. Okay, so let's go to the book of Amos, minor prophets. We're going to Amos. Okay. All right, so go with me to the book of Amos. You know, the book of Amos has always, to me, been very curious because it has quite a manifold of, I guess what I would call, excuse me, shalaki. I would call the call to the awakening and the judgment that comes upon Yahweh's people at the same time. But a lot of people, you know, some of the minor prophets in the smaller books, shalaki, they have very powerful meanings, and at the same time, they bring across something that really most people don't get to see that well. Okay, and like I said, Amos is a short book as well, but I want to get in here and get just some of the precepts that follow up on this lesson on Jacob's gates being shaken open here. Okay, so I'm gonna go to Amos chapter 5, 16 to 20, and it reads, "Therefore the Lord YAHAWAH Power, the power of the God of hosts, the Lord thus saith, wailing shall be in the streets, and they shall say in all the highways, alas, alas, and they shall call the husbandmen into mourning, as such are skillful of lamentation to wailing." So they're going to definitely be calling out and crying for salvation and help, but the Father's not going to be able. He's not going to help them because they don't pay attention or love what He's saying. Okay, let's finish from 17 and go down 20. "And in all vineyards shall be wailing, for I will pass through thee, saith YAHAWAH Power, the Lord. Woe unto you that desire the day of the Lord. To what end is it for you? The day of the Lord is darkness and not light." See what I'm saying? You're not ready for this. You think you're ready for the Most High, right? You think you're ready for this portion when He is coming. None of us are ready for this. Not even the elect, I don't think. They're trying to be ready, but they're not real ready. 19. "As if a man did flee from a lion, and bear met him, or went into the house and learned his hand on the wall, and a serpent bit him. Shall not the day of the Lord be darkness and not light, even every dark, and no light or brightness in it?" So you can see, when it's coming, y'all ain't ready because it's going to be powerful, and He ain't playing. Okay, we go into Amos 9 and 9. Okay, all right, Amos 9 and 9, and it says, "For lo, I will command, and I will shift the house of Israel among all nations." See, when He sift the house, sift, S-I-F-T, when He sift, that's like filtering out the house. He said, "The house of Israel among all nations, like as corn in a sifter, in a sieve, yet shall not the least grain fall upon the earth." So He's going to make sure He collects all of them that He's supposed to in the way that He's supposed to collect them. Okay, now we're going to Malachi to close this out. And as we close out in Malachi, we are going to just bring this home because this is what we got to do. Okay, Malachi chapter 3, 2 through 3. But who may abide the day of his coming? And who shall stand when he appeareth? For he is like a refiner's fire and like fuller's soap. He gonna clean, he gonna wash this bowl, clean it up, and scrub it down, man. It's coming. Okay? 3, and he shall sit as a refiner and a purifier of silver, and he shall purify the sons of Levi, and purge them as gold and silver, and they may offer unto the Lord YAHAWAH Power an offering of righteousness. See, as you can see, the Most High is not playing. He's bringing it, and he's bringing it in beautiful fashion. Some of the other scriptures that I'm using, and we're going to close this out. Matthew 24, verse 13. But he who endures to the end shall be saved. See, there's your salvation, right? Matthew 24, 21 through 22. For then there will be great tribulation, such as has not been since before time has ever been. Okay? Paraphrasing. Romans chapter 1, 18, 27. For the wrath of Yah is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness. Okay? Following playing. Galatians 6 and 7. Don't be deceived. Yahweh is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. 1 Thessalonians 5, chapter 5, verse 1 through 3. But concerning the times and the seasons, brethren, you have no need that I tell you, because you will not know. Tell them, Father. Roughly paraphrasing, right? I'm just trying to give you a few scriptures I want you to pull out. 2 Peter 3, chapter 3, 3 through 7. Look them up. Knowing first that scoffers will come in the last days, walking according to their own lust. Yes, they are doing that now. Revelation chapter 3, 10 through 11. Just reading, roughly paraphrasing the beginning of it. Because you have kept my command to preserve, I also will keep you from the hour of temptation, right? Revelation 11, 2. But leave out the court, which is outside the temple. See, these are, you need to go and look up these scriptures, because I'm just giving you a couple roughly paraphrases. I'm running out of my time here. And then, of course, the next scriptures that I'd like for you to pull and precept everything that I was speaking of that relates to Jacob's trouble and the gates opening. Daniel chapter 9, 27, the overspreading of abominations, right? Also Daniel 12, Daniel chapter 12, verse 7 there as well. Luke chapter 12, 48. Isaiah chapter 41 through 2, and also Jeremiah chapter 16 through 18. And what else? Zechariah chapter 13, 8 through 9. And Ezekiel 20, chapter 20, verse 37. And Isaiah chapter 24, 19 through 20. And of course, my last few that really fall in line, of course, all three of these. Joel chapter 2, 1 through 2, Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 7, Daniel chapter 12, verse 1, and Matthew chapter 24, verse 21. So that wraps up the lesson for today in Yahawah starting to shake the gates of Jacob's trouble open on the Hebrew Israelites as well as the whole earth. And I hope you enjoyed this particular lesson. I hope that was satisfying and brought some clarity and some light to some things that are happening right now in this time, as that hourglass has been turned over by the Most High, and those sands of salvation are rolling down that hourglass, and time's up. So the only time left is Yahawah's time, and if you're not on his clock and his time, then you time out. Kahalo, Yahawah Hashem, Yahawah Shai, Barakatah Yahawah, Barakatah Yahawah Shai. Shalom.